The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council was the largest room ever built by any species in the known universe. It floated in the darkness between stars, a massive station made of crystal and metal. Inside, representatives from 112 different alien species gathered to discuss the future of the galaxy. Hai sat in his tall chair at the center of the room. His scales were bright green, showing his youth and strength. The people had ruled the council for 3,000 years and was proud to lead them. He looked around the chamber with his four eyes, watching the other ambassadors talk and argue about trade routes and border disputes. It was a normal day, nothing special. Then the lights began to flicker. Every alien in the room stopped talking. The lights had never flickered before. The station had power systems that could run for 1,000,000 years. Something was wrong. A point of light appeared in the center of the chamber. It grew slowly, becoming brighter and brighter until it was painful to look at. Raised his hand to cover his eyes. He could hear gasps and shouts from the other representatives. The light took shape. It became a tall figure, almost like a person but made entirely of soft, pale light. It had no face, no features, just a glowing form that seemed to shift and change with every passing moment. Felt his heart's beating fast. He knew what this was. Every child in the galaxy grew up hearing stories about these beings. The Pale Wanderers, the oldest species in the universe. They traveled between galaxies, collecting knowledge and memories. They never interfered with younger species. They never spoke to anyone. Until now. "We greet the Galactic Council," the Wanderer said. Its voice was strange. It seemed to come from everywhere at once, speaking directly into his mind rather than through the air. "We come with a warning." Ambassador of the Dominion stood up. She was tall and thin, with 4 arms and 4 eyes that gleamed like black jewels. They were the second most powerful species in the galaxy and was known for her sharp tongue. "The Pale Wanderers do not give warnings," she said. "You do not interfere. Why are you here?" The Wanderer's form flickered. For a moment, thought he saw something in its light, something that looked almost like fear. "We have seen something," the Wanderer said. "In the third arm of your galaxy, there is a small yellow star with 8 planets. The third planet from the star is a world of water and rock. It is not special. There are millions of worlds like it, but on this world a species is rising." Leaned forward in his chair. "Species rise and fall all the time," he said. "Most of them destroy themselves before they ever leave their home world. Why should we care about this one?" "Because this one is different." The Wanderer moved closer to the council. Its light seemed to dim, as if it was struggling to speak. Every alien in the room held their breath. "We have watched this species for a long time," the Wanderer continued. "They call themselves humans. They are young. They have only existed for a short time compared to your civilizations, but they are unlike anything we have ever seen." "In what way?" asked. "They are broken," the Wanderer said. "Fractured, divided. They do not work together like other species. They fight wars against themselves. Not small conflicts, but terrible wars that kill millions of their own kind. They create weapons capable of destroying their entire civilization. And they use them. They poison their own air and water. They burn their own forests. They drive other species on their planet to extinction." Felt relief wash over him. "Then they will destroy themselves," he said. "Like all such primitive species do. This is not a problem. This is natural selection." "No," the Wanderer's light pulsed with intensity. "That is what makes them dangerous. They should have died 1,000 times. Disease has swept across their world. They survived. War has torn them apart. They rebuilt. Their climate has changed. They adapted. They have come to the edge of extinction again and again, and every single time they find a way to survive." The chamber was completely silent, could hear his own heart's beating. "They are not like you," the Wanderer said. "When you face a threat, you calculate. You measure risk and reward. You make logical decisions. Humans do not work this way. When they face a threat, something inside them awakens. something dark and fierce and absolutely unstoppable. They will sacrifice everything to survive. They will burn their own cities. They will starve their own children. They will commit terrible acts that no other species would consider, and they will feel bad about it afterward. They will cry and feel guilt and promise to never do it again. But when the next threat comes, they will do it all over again. Ambassador laughed. It was a sharp, mocking sound. You came all this way to warn us about a species that fights itself, a species that cannot even control its own home world. This is not a threat. This is a joke. Several other ambassadors joined her laughter, smiled, his scales shifting to a lighter green to show his amusement. The wanderer did not move. It waited until the laughter stopped. You do not understand, it said quietly. Their weakness is their strength. Their chaos is their power. They do not follow rules. They do not respect the natural order. They will find ways to do things that you believe are impossible, and they will do them quickly. How quickly? Asked. They have only had technology for a few hundred of their years. In that time they have gone from riding animals to splitting atoms. They have built machines that can think. They have visited their own moon. They are already reaching toward the stars. In another few hundred years they will have faster-than-light travel, and then they will come here. The chamber stirred with whispers, held up his hand for silence. And when they come here, he asked, what then? The wanderer's form began to fade. Its light was growing dim. Do not know, it admitted. We have seen many species rise and fall. We have watched civilizations build empires that span galaxies. We have seen wars that lasted for millions of years, but we have never seen anything like humans. They are chaos given form. They are destruction and creation wrapped together in a single species. They could become your greatest allies. They could become your worst enemies. They could lift you to heights you have never imagined, or they could burn this entire galaxy to ashes. Then what do you suggest we do? Demanded. Prepare, the wanderer said. Watch them, study them, and when they come to you, be ready, be united. Because if you are divided, if you fight among yourselves, they will exploit every weakness. They will learn from your mistakes. They will adapt to your strategies, and they will not stop. They will never, ever stop. The wanderer's light was almost gone now, just a faint glow in the center of the chamber. We have given our warning, it said. We have done all that we can do. The rest is up to you. Remember this day. Remember what we have told you. And when the humans come, remember that you were warned. The light disappeared. The wanderer was gone. The chamber erupted in noise. Ambassadors shouted at each other. Some were worried. Most were laughing, sat in his chair and listened to the arguments bounce around the room. Finally he stood up. The chamber fell silent. The pale wanderers are ancient, said. They have seen much, perhaps too much. They have become paranoid. They see threats where there are none. He spread his arms wide. We are the Galactic Council. We have ruled this galaxy for 100,000 years. We have defeated every enemy. We have survived every challenge. A primitive species from a small world in the third arm is not a threat to us. It is barely worth our attention. The chamber filled with applause, smiled and sat back down. Far away, on a small blue planet orbiting a yellow star, a young human named Park looked up at the night sky. She was 12 years old. She dreamed of flying among the stars. She did not know that the greatest civilizations in the galaxy had just dismissed her entire species as unimportant. She would not forget that dream, and in 50 years she would prove the pale wanderers right. But that is a story for another time. The council returned to its normal business, trade routes, border disputes. The warning was filed away and forgotten. The pale wanderers left the galaxy and never returned. And on Earth, humanity continued to grow, continued to fight, continued to dream, continued to survive. Admiral was sleeping when the alarm woke him up. He opened his 4 eyes slowly, feeling the cold air of his private quarters on the warship. The alarm was loud and sharp. It meant something unexpected had happened. something that the ship's computers could not explain. Got out of bed and put on his uniform. His scales had turned gray over the years, showing his age and experience. He had served in the fleet for 60 years. He had seen many strange things, but he had never heard this particular alarm before. When he reached the bridge, his crew was already working. Lieutenant stood at the sensor station, her tentacles moving quickly across the holographic display. She was young and talented, one of the best sensor officers in the fleet. "Report," said as he sat down in his command chair. "Admiral, we detected an unknown ship about 2 hours ago," said. "It came out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of space, but the method it used is not in our database. We have never seen anything like it." Leaned forward, "Show me." The main lit up with data, studied it carefully. The unknown ship was small compared to his warship. It looked fragile, like it was made of thin metal and glass. He could see no weapons on its surface. No shields, no armor. "It looks like a cargo ship," he said. "Or a passenger vessel. Where did it come from?" "That is the strange part, Admiral." Pulled up a star map. "Based on its direction and speed, it came from the third arm of the galaxy, from a region of space that we have never explored. There are no known civilizations there." Felt a cold feeling in his stomach. The third arm. He had read the old records. The warning from the Pale Wanderers 3,000 years ago. A species rising on a small blue planet. A species called humans. He had always thought it was just a legend, a story to scare children. But now, looking at this strange ship, he was not so sure. "What can you tell me about the ship?" he asked. "Its technology is very different from ours," said. "The engines use chemical reactions for normal movement, very old-fashioned, very inefficient, but the faster-than-light system is something new. It appears to fold space instead of sliding through it. That should be impossible. The energy required would be massive." "And yet they did it." "Yes, Admiral, and there is something else." His voice was quiet. "The ship is sending out a radio signal, a message. It is being broadcast on all frequencies." "Can we understand it?" "The computers are working on it now. The language is unknown, but the patterns suggest intelligence. They are trying to communicate." Stood up and walked to the... He looked at the small ship floating in the darkness of space. It was so fragile, so weak. He could destroy it with a single shot from his smallest weapon. But something stopped him. Curiosity, maybe, or caution. The Pale Wanderers had called this species dangerous. Perhaps it was wise to learn more before taking action. "Open a communication channel," he ordered. "Send them a standard greeting in all known languages. Let us see if they respond." The communication officer worked quickly. A moment later, the ship sent back a response. "Admiral, they are sending a video signal. They want to show us their face." Nodded, put it on the screen. The image that appeared made his scales turn pale with shock. It was a creature unlike anything he had ever seen. It had soft skin, with no scales or armor to protect it. 2 small eyes that seemed almost useless compared to the 4 eyes of the... A mouth filled with white bone that was somehow used for both eating and speaking. Hair grew from the top of its head in strange black strands. The creature smiled, pulling its lips back to show those white bones. Did not know if this was a threat or a greeting. Among his people, showing teeth meant you were ready to fight. "This is Captain Park of the United Earth Stellar Consortium ship Horizon," the creature said. "We come in peace. We represent the people of Earth. We are very happy to meet you." The translator had done its work. The words came through imperfect, but the voice behind them was strange, warm, friendly, almost innocent. Stepped forward. "I am Admiral of the Third Fleet. You have entered our space without permission. Explain yourself." The creature, the human, nodded its head. "We apologize for any confusion. We did not know this area belonged to anyone. We have just developed faster-than-light travel. This is our first journey beyond our own star system. We are explorers, not invaders." How many of you are there? On this ship there are 50 crew members. Back on Earth there are about 10 billion of us. Scales rippled with surprise. 10 billion. That was more than the entire population, and they were all on one planet. Your ship has no weapons, he said. No shields. You came into unknown space with no protection. Are you not afraid? The human smiled again. We were curious. We have always wanted to know what was out there beyond our sky. When we finally built a ship that could travel between stars, we could not wait to use it. Perhaps we should have been more careful, but that is not how we do things. Lieutenant spoke quietly from her station. Admiral, I have scanned their ship in detail. They have 50 individuals on board. Their life signs are strange, very hot compared to us. Their hearts beat very fast, and they are carrying several objects that appear to be weapons. Weapons? Turned back to the screen. You said you came in peace. Why do you have weapons? The human's face changed slightly, could not read the expression. Old habit, the human said. On our world, we have learned that peace must sometimes be defended. We hope we will never need to use them, but we brought them just in case. There was something in the way the human spoke, something behind the friendly smile and warm voice. Had commanded warships for 60 years. He had faced enemies who wanted to destroy his people. He knew how to recognize a threat. This human was not threatening him, not exactly, but there was a hardness underneath the softness, a strength that the fragile body could not hide. Your species, said slowly, what are you called again? We are humans from Earth. Nodded, he made his decision. Captain Park, I am going to send a message to my government. They will decide what happens next. In the meantime, you will stay here. You will not leave. You will not send messages to your home world. Do you understand? The human's eyes narrowed slightly. The smile did not fade, but something changed in it. Admiral, we came here in peace. We are not your prisoners. You are in space. Our laws apply here. You will wait until the council decides what to do with you. There was a long moment of silence. Watched the human carefully. He saw the muscles in its jaw tighten. He saw its hands ball into fists. He saw the fire that burned behind those small, weak eyes. Then the human relaxed. The smile returned, bright and warm. Of course, Admiral, we understand. We will wait. We have plenty of patience. The communication ended. Stood alone on his bridge, looking at the small, fragile ship floating in space. Lieutenant, he said quietly. Yes, Admiral. Send a message to the council. Tell them that the warning was real. Tell them that the humans have arrived. He walked back to his chair and sat down heavily. His scales had turned gray long ago, but now they seemed even paler. And tell them, he added, that I do not think patience is something these creatures truly have. Far away in the grand chamber of the Galactic Council received the message. He was old now, his scales faded and his body weak, but his mind was still sharp. He read the report from Admiral 3 times. Then he pulled up the ancient records, the warning from the Pale Wanderers, the words that he had laughed at 3,000 years ago. They will not stop. They will never ever stop. Closed his eyes. He had been young and foolish. He had dismissed the warning because he could not imagine that any species could threaten the mighty Galactic Council. Now that species had arrived, and looking at Captain Park's smiling face, finally understood what the Wanderers had tried to tell him. The danger was not in the humans' weapons or technology. The danger was in their eyes, in the fire that burned there, in the absolute refusal to accept limits. They had crossed the impossible distance between stars in a ship that should have fallen apart. They had come with no protection, no shields, no knowledge of what they would find. They had smiled when threatened and calmly said they would wait. They would wait and they would watch, and they would learn. And when they were ready, nothing would stop them. Sent orders to every fleet in the galaxy. The humans were to be watched closely, their movements tracked, their technology studied. But deep in his heart, he already knew it was too late. The game had changed, the humans were here, and the galaxy would never be the same. The humans spread faster than anyone expected. In just 18 months after first contact, they had established 12 colonies across 3 star systems. Their population was growing at a rate that shocked the Galactic Council. Every month, new human ships appeared in unexplored regions of space, claiming empty worlds and building settlements. Ambassador watched this expansion with growing anger. The Dominion had been planning to claim those star systems for centuries. They had maps, they had schedules, they had calculated exactly when they would begin colonization. But the humans did not care about plans. They did not ask permission. They simply arrived, built their colonies, and started mining resources. Stood before the council and demanded action. "These creatures are a threat to galactic stability," she said. "They take whatever they want. They respect no borders. They breed like insects and spread like a disease. If we do not stop them now, they will overwhelm us all." Still alive but very old, spoke carefully. "The humans have not attacked anyone. They have only claimed worlds that were uninhabited. Perhaps we should speak with them before taking action." "Speak with them." Four eyes blazed with anger. "They have taken worlds that belong to the, by right of discovery, by right of prior claim, those systems are ours." "They discovered nothing," another ambassador said. "They looked at a star map and drew circles around systems they wanted. The humans actually traveled to those worlds. They have a stronger claim." The argument continued for hours. In the end, no agreement was reached. Stormed out of the chamber, her mind made up. If the council would not act, they would act alone. 3 weeks later, the Third Armada entered the system where the human colony of Nu was located. 47 warships, each one massive and bristling with weapons. They had enough firepower to destroy a planet. Commander led the Armada. He was young and ambitious, eager to prove himself. He had studied the reports on human technology. Their ships were weak. Their weapons were primitive. This would be an easy victory. The Armada took position above Nu and sent a message to the surface. "Attention, human colony. This star system belongs to the Dominion. You are trespassing on our territory. You have 1 hour to surrender. If you do not surrender, you will be destroyed." Colony Director Lee Minyu received the message in his office. He was a thin man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had been a teacher back on Earth before he volunteered to lead the new colony. He had spent 2 years building a community here. Schools, hospitals, farms, a place where humans could live and grow. Now aliens were threatening to destroy everything. Minyu looked at the data on his screen, 47 warships. His colony had no military vessels, only mining ships and cargo transports. No weapons, no shields, no way to fight back. His assistant, a young woman named, stood beside him. "Director, what do we do?" Minyu was silent for a long moment. He thought about his wife and daughter back on Earth. He thought about the 10,000 colonists who had trusted him to lead them. He thought about everything they had built. Then he stood up and walked to the communication console. "Open a channel to the alien fleet," he said. The face of Commander appeared on the screen. He looked confident, bored almost, as if this was already over. "Commander," Minyu said, "I am Lee Minyu, director of the new colony. I have received your message." "Then you know what you must do. Surrender and your people will be treated fairly. Resist and you will be destroyed." Minyu smiled. It was a strange smile, not happy, not afraid, something else entirely. "Commander, I have a different answer for you. We are not going to surrender. We are not going to run. This is our home now. We built it with our own hands. We grew food in soil that had never been touched. We raised children under stars that no human had ever seen. This is ours, and we are going to keep it." His expression changed slightly. Confusion, perhaps, or the first hint of concern. "You have no military ships," he said. You have no weapons. Your technology is primitive compared to ours. How do you expect to fight? Minyu's smile grew wider. That is the wrong question, Commander. The question is not how we will fight. The question is how much we are willing to sacrifice. And the answer is everything. He cut the communication. In the next 6 hours, the colony of Nu transformed. Mining ships were retrofitted with plasma cutters, turning them into crude but deadly attack vessels. Cargo transports were loaded with explosives and set to fly on autopilot into enemy ships. Industrial equipment was mounted on platforms and aimed at the sky. Engineers worked without rest, building weapons from anything they could find. A scientist named designed a simple but effective missile using mining charges and transport engines. A factory worker named Park figured out how to overload a fusion reactor and create an explosion large enough to destroy a warship. And throughout the colony, volunteers stepped forward. They knew what they were signing up for. The mining ships and cargo transports were not designed for combat. They would not survive, but they would hurt the enemy. They would make them pay. 53 volunteers offered to pilot the suicide ships. Minyu had to turn most of them away. He only needed 20. When the hour was up, Commander sent a message. Your time is over. Do you surrender? Minyu appeared on the screen again. Behind him could see movement, ships launching, equipment being activated, people preparing to fight. We do not surrender, Minyu said. We adapt. The battle began. The fleet expected an easy victory. Instead, they found chaos. Human mining ships flew directly at the largest warships, their plasma cutters burning through armor at point-blank range. Cargo transports, piloted by volunteers who knew they would die, exploded against shields and hulls. Missiles built from mining charges streaked through space, targeting engines and weapon systems. The ships were powerful, but they were not designed for this kind of fight. Their weapons were meant for long-range combat against other warships. They had never faced an enemy that flew directly into their formation and attacked from all directions at once. Screamed orders from his command chair. His bridge was in chaos. Warning alarms blared. Officers shouted reports. A mining ship had breached the hull of his escort cruiser. A cargo transport had destroyed his primary sensor array. Fall back, he ordered. All ships fall back in reform. But the humans did not let them fall back. Every time a ship tried to retreat, a human vessel followed it, crashing into it or detonating beside it. Watched a human pilot fly her mining ship directly into the engine section of his battlecruiser. The ship exploded. The battlecruiser went dark and began to drift. Before she died, the pilot was singing. The sensors picked up her voice, transmitted through the static. She was singing some kind of human song, happy, almost cheerful. She was dying, and she was happy about it. That was when truly understood what they were fighting. The battle lasted 4 hours. In the end, the one, Nu was destroyed. 10,000 humans died. Director Lee Minyu was among them, killed when a bombardment struck the command center. But of the 47 warships that entered the system, only 12 escaped. 35 warships destroyed. By a mining colony with no military. By farmers and teachers and engineers who had never held a weapon before that day. Sat in his damaged command chair, staring at nothing. His ship was barely functioning. Half his crew was dead. He had won, but it did not feel like victory. His communications officer approached him. Her name was like the human assistant. She looked as shocked as he felt. Commander, we intercepted human transmissions during the battle. Would you like to hear them? Nodded. The recordings played. Human voices, dying humans, but they were not screaming in fear. They were laughing, joking, singing, saying goodbye to their families, telling each other they loved them. One man, flying a cargo ship filled with explosives toward a cruiser, recorded a message for his daughter. His voice was calm, almost gentle. I love you. I am sorry I will not be there to watch you grow up. But I am doing this so you can live in a galaxy where no one can threaten us. Be brave, be kind, and never ever give up. That is what being human means." The recording ended with an explosion. Sat in silence for a long time. "The Wanderers were right," he said finally. "They tried to warn us. We should have listened." Sir asked, "These creatures, these humans, they are not like us. They do not fight to win. They fight to survive. And they are willing to die so that others might live." He looked at the wreckage floating outside his window. "We won today. But if this is what a single colony can do, what will happen when we face their real military? What will happen when they come for revenge?" Had no answer. Neither did. But far away on Earth, the news of news spread like wildfire. 10,000 dead, a colony destroyed, but 35 enemy warships destroyed in return. Humanity was angry, humanity was united, and humanity was building new ships. They had won a battle, but they had started a war that they could not win. The humans were coming. It started with the demanding justice for their destroyed warships. It grew when they joined them, afraid of what humanity would become. It exploded when 17 other species signed the Grand Coalition, the largest military alliance in galactic history. Their goal was simple: stop humanity before they spread further, push them back to their home system, keep them contained forever. In the first year, the coalition won every battle. Human colonies fell one by one. Millions of humans died. The coalition fleet pushed closer and closer to Earth, burning every human settlement they found. General Han watched the reports come in from her command ship. She was 42 years old. Before the war, she had been a history teacher at a small university in Seoul. She had taught students about ancient wars, about empires that rose and fell, about the mistakes that led to defeat. Now she was one of the highest-ranking officers in the human military. She had been promoted 6 times in 3 years, not because she wanted power, but because everyone above her kept dying. Her husband had died at the battle of, her 2 sons had died defending a refugee convoy near Alpha. She had no family left, nothing but the war. "General, the coalition fleet is approaching Earth orbit," her tactical officer reported. Lieutenant was young, barely 25. He had joined the military the day after his parents died in the bombing of New Seoul. "They have over 2,000 warships. We have less than 100. Looked at the display. The numbers were hopeless. The coalition had more ships, better technology, more resources. They had been building their empires for 100,000 years. Humanity had been in space for less than a century. "What are our options?" she asked. "We can fight," said. "We will lose, or we can surrender. They might let some of us live as slaves." "Neither option is acceptable." Stood up and walked to the main. Earth hung in the darkness, blue and green and beautiful. The planet where humanity was born. The planet where they had fought each other for thousands of years before finally reaching the stars. "There is a third option," she said quietly. "General." She turned to face her bridge crew. 30 men and women, all of them exhausted, all of them ready to die. They had been fighting for years. They had lost friends, family, homes, but they were still here, still fighting. 3 years ago, we started building the Ark ships, said. Generation vessels, each one capable of traveling between galaxies. If Earth falls, we send the Arks into the void. They travel for 1,000 years. They find new galaxies. They start again. Nodded, I know about the Arks, but they are not finished yet. They are finished enough. We can launch them now. The bridge was silent. Everyone understood what she was saying. Launch the Arks. Let the coalition see them leave. Show them that even if they killed every human in this galaxy, humanity would survive somewhere else. It might make them hesitate, said slowly. If they know they cannot truly destroy us, they might be willing to negotiate. Yes, Or it might make them angry and they will attack faster. Smiled, a thin and tired expression. But at least humanity will survive. Whatever happens here, our species will continue. She gave the order. 5 Ark ships, each one carrying 1,000,000 humans in frozen sleep, launched from hidden locations across the solar system. They accelerated toward the edge of the galaxy, their engines burning bright against the darkness. The Coalition watched them go. High, now ancient and frail, observed from the Coalition flagship. He had lived long enough to see the warning come true, long enough to watch the war unfold exactly as the Pale Wanderers had predicted. "They are running," Commander said. He was old too now, his scales faded and his body from years of battle. "We have won." "No," said, his voice was barely a whisper. "We have not won, we cannot win. Even if we destroy Earth, even if we kill every human in this galaxy, those ships will carry their species to new stars. They will grow, they will multiply, they will return." "Then what do we do?" Was silent for a long moment. He thought about everything he had seen. The battles, the sacrifices, the humans who flew their ships into Coalition warships and laughed as they died, the colonies that refused to surrender even when there was no hope, the soldiers who fought to the last breath and then fought some more. "I do not know," he admitted. "I truly do not know." On the human side, something unexpected happened. The launch of the Ark ships did not cause humanity to give up. Instead, it gave them hope. They knew that no matter what happened, their species would survive, and that knowledge freed them to fight without fear. New weapons were developed. New tactics were created. Human scientists and engineers worked day and night, inventing things that the Coalition could not understand. A new type of engine that made human ships faster than anything in the galaxy. A weapon that could pierce Coalition shields. A communication system that the Coalition could not intercept. Most importantly, humans learned to work together. The old divisions between nations and cultures disappeared. There was no more East and West, no more rich and poor. There was only humanity, united against a common enemy. General led the counterattack personally. The Battle of Jupiter was the first major human victory. The Coalition had positioned a fleet near the gas giant, preparing for the final assault on Earth. They expected easy victory. They found disaster. Human ships came from everywhere at once. They were faster, more agile, more unpredictable. They did not fight in the organized formations that the Coalition used. They fought in chaos, each captain making their own decisions, adapting to the situation in real time. The Coalition commanders could not respond quickly enough. By the time they gave an order, the situation had already changed. Their ships were powerful but slow and predictable. The human ships were weaker individually, but they moved like water, flowing around obstacles and striking where the enemy was weakest. After 3 days of fighting, the Coalition fleet retreated. They left behind 40% of their ships, destroyed or captured. It was the turning point of the war. Over the next 5 years, humanity pushed the Coalition back. Colony after colony was reclaimed. New allies joined the human side, species who had been conquered by the Coalition long ago and saw humanity as their chance for freedom. The war became a revolution. The old order was falling apart. General stood on the bridge of her flagship, the UESC Defiance, as the final battle approached. The Coalition had gathered their remaining forces near the... It was their last stand. "Status report," she said quietly. "Coalition forces are in position," reported. He had been promoted many times over the years. Now he was her second in command. "They have approximately 800 warships. We have over 1,000. Nodded, the numbers had changed. Humanity had grown strong. "Send a message to the Coalition flagship," she ordered. "Tell them they can surrender. No one else needs to die today." The message was sent. For a long moment there was no response. Then a face appeared on the, looking like he might crumble to dust at any moment. "General," he said, "we have fought for 12 years. Billions have died on both sides. What do you want?" "I want peace," she said simply. "True peace. Not surrender, not conquest. Just the right to exist among the stars without being hunted." "And if we refuse?" Looked at him with eyes that had seen too much death. "Then we will destroy your fleet. We will capture we will do whatever it takes to survive. Because that is what we do. That is who we are." Was silent. Behind him could see other coalition leaders watching. Ambassador old and broken. Commander and tired. All of them waiting for to decide. "The Pale Wanderers warned us," said finally. 3,000 years ago, they said you would come. They said you would not stop. They said we should be united and ready." He paused. "We laughed at them. We thought we knew better." "You were wrong." "Yes, we were wrong," bowed his head. "General, on behalf of the Grand Coalition, I offer our complete and unconditional surrender. The war is over." The Bridge of the Defiance erupted in cheers. Officers hugged each other. Tears flowed freely. 12 years of war, and it was finally finished. Did not cheer. She stood alone looking at the old alien who had once dismissed her entire species as unimportant. "We do not want conquest," she said softly. "We never did. We just wanted a place among the stars, a chance to grow and learn and explore. You could have given us that from the beginning. You could have welcomed us as friends." "I know, Sid, I know." The transmission ended. Turned to face her crew. They were all looking at her, waiting for her to speak. "We won," she said. "But remember this day. Remember the cost. 17 billion humans died in this war. Countless aliens died as well. All because fear was stronger than hope. All because pride was stronger than wisdom." She looked out the window at the stars. "We are the strongest force in this galaxy now. We could become conquerors. We could become exactly what they feared. But that is not who we are. That is not what our fallen died for." She took a deep breath. "We will be builders. We will be healers. We will show the galaxy that humanity is not a disease to be feared but a gift to be embraced. That is how we honor our dead. That is how we prove we deserve to exist." The war was over. But the harder work was just beginning. 50 years had passed since the end of the war. I sat in the same grand chamber where he had once laughed at the Pale Wanderers. His body was failing now. His scales had turned white with age. His 4 eyes could barely see. But his mind was still clear, and what he saw amazed him. The chamber was different now. Human representatives sat in places of honor, their strange soft bodies a common sight among the scales and tentacles and crystalline forms of other species. Young aliens wore human clothing. Human music played in the corridors. Human words had entered the languages of 100 species. The galaxy had changed, not through conquest but through something the Coalition had never expected: kindness. After the war ended, humanity could have demanded revenge. They could have taken the of their enemies. They could have enslaved the species that had tried to destroy them. The galaxy would have understood. After all, that was how empires worked. The strong took from the weak. But humanity did not do this. Instead, they sent doctors to heal the wounded. They sent engineers to rebuild the cities they had destroyed. They shared their technology freely, even with former enemies. They treated prisoners of war with respect and returned them to their homes. The galaxy had never seen anything like it. Ambassador walked to the center of the chamber to deliver her report. She was young by human standards, only 40 years old, with gray streaks in her black hair and smile lines around her eyes. She moved with the easy confidence of someone who knew exactly who she was. Watched her carefully. Was the child of war survivors. Her mother had lost her entire family at the Battle of Alpha. Her father had fought in the ground war on the. She had every reason to hate the aliens who had tried to destroy her people. But there was no hate in her eyes, only warmth. "The humanitarian mission to thee is complete," announced. Her voice was clear and strong. The famine has been addressed. Medical teams have treated the plague that was spreading through their population. Reconstruction efforts are ahead of schedule. The representative rose from his seat. He was old, his crystalline body cracked and dull. They had been among the most aggressive members of the coalition during the war. They had voted to exterminate humanity completely. They had sent their fleets to burn human colonies without mercy. Now he bowed deeply too. On behalf of my people, they said, we thank humanity. You had every reason to let us suffer. We tried to destroy you. We killed millions of your people, and yet you came to save us. Why? Smiled. It was the same smile that had confused Admiral 50 years ago. The same smile that had made Commander question everything he knew about war. Because that is not who we are, she said simply. We fight when we must. We endure what we must. But when the fighting is done, we build, we heal, we help. That is what humans do. The chamber was silent, saw expressions of wonder on alien faces. After 50 years, they still did not understand humanity. Perhaps they never would. The session ended. Representatives talked in small groups discussing trade agreements and cultural exchanges. Notice that many of them sought out the human delegates, asking questions, seeking advice, wanting to learn. He rose slowly from his chair. His body ached with every movement, but there was something he needed to do before he died, something that had been bothering him for half a century. He found in the corridor outside the chamber. She was speaking with a young diplomat, laughing at something he had said. When she saw approaching, she excused herself and walked toward him. "Hi," she said, "it is an honor." "Please," said, I have not been high for many years. The title belongs to your species now." Shook her head. "Humanity does not seek titles. We seek partnership, friendship. The council should be led by whoever is best qualified, not by whoever won the last war." Was silent for a moment. Then he spoke the words he had been waiting to say for 50 years. "I have a question, one that has haunted me for decades." "Ask." "Why?" His voice cracked. "You could have conquered us all. After everything we did to you, the war, the colonies we burned, the billions of your people we killed, you could have become the masters of this galaxy. You had the power. You had the right. Why did you not do it?" Looked at him for a long time. Her eyes were kind, but there was something deep in them, something old and tired and wise. 3,000 years ago, she said, beings of light came to this council and warned you about us. They said we were broken, fractured, dangerous." She paused. "They were not wrong. We are all of those things. We have done terrible things to each other. We have committed crimes that would make your species recoil in horror. We carry the weight of our history like chains around our souls." Nodded. "Then why?" "Because we know we are broken. We have always known. And we have spent our entire existence trying to be better, trying to fix ourselves, trying to build something worth having." She placed a gentle hand on his arm. "We did not want to conquer the galaxy. We wanted to belong to it. We wanted to prove that even something broken can become something beautiful." Felt something in his chest, an emotion he had not experienced in a very long time. Hope, perhaps, or something close to it. "The Wanderers said you would not stop," he said. "They said you were unstoppable." "They were right," said. "We will not stop. We will not stop building. We will not stop growing. We will not stop reaching toward the stars. But they missed something important about why we do these things." "What?" "We are not trying to escape something. We are trying to become something. Every war we have fought, every challenge we have faced, every tragedy we have survived, we have used it to become better than we were before. That is what the Wanderers did not understand. Our drive is not destruction. It is evolution. It is the constant, never-ending effort to grow beyond our limitations." She smiled again and this time understood the expression. It was not a threat. It was not a mask. It was the pure, simple joy of someone who loved being alive. "We will make mistakes," continued. "We always do. We will fall down and hurt ourselves and hurt others, but we will also pick ourselves up. We will apologize, we will learn, and we will try again. Because that is what humans do, we never stop trying. Stood in silence as she walked away. That night, alone in his quarters, he pulled up the ancient records. The warning from the pale wanderers, the dismissal by his younger self, the laughter of a council that thought it knew everything. He began to write. His fingers were slow and clumsy, but his mind was clear. I am adding a note to the historical archive, a final observation from the last surviving witness to the original warning. The pale wanderers told us that humanity would not stop. They were right, but they failed to understand what humans would not stop doing, surviving, adapting, and, against all logic, hopping. We feared their capacity for destruction. We should have recognized their capacity for redemption. They came to the stars broken, and they made us all whole. He paused, thinking about everything he had seen. The battles, the deaths, the rebuilding, the friendship that had grown between species that once wanted to destroy each other. Let this be a lesson to whoever reads these words. When the next strange species rises from some forgotten world, do not ask if they are dangerous. Ask instead what they dream of. Ask what they hope for. Ask what they would die for. And then, perhaps, ask what they would live for. The answer will tell you everything you need to know. Finished writing and closed the file. His eyes were tired. His body was failing. But for the first time in a very long time, he was at peace. Outside his window, human and alien ships flew together through the darkness of space. Trade vessels, exploration ships, rescue teams heading to distant worlds where someone needed help. The galaxy was not perfect. It would never be perfect. There were still conflicts, still problems, still challenges that seemed impossible to solve. But there was also hope. There was growth. There was the constant, stubborn, absolutely human belief that tomorrow could be better than today. Closed his eyes and remembered the pale wanderers, their light, their fear, their warning. They had been right about humanity being unstoppable. They had just been wrong about why. Far away on Earth, in a classroom on a mountain overlooking the sea, a teacher named Park was telling her students about the history of humanity in space. She was the great-granddaughter of Captain Park, the first human to make contact with alien life. And that is how we became part of the galactic community, she said. Not through conquest or force, but through stubborn refusal to give up, through kindness in the face of cruelty, through hope in the face of despair. A young boy raised his hand. "Teacher, what happens next?" Park smiled. It was the same smile her great-grandmother had worn when she first met Admiral. The same smile that had confused and frightened and ultimately changed an entire galaxy. "Next," she said, "we keep going, we keep exploring, we keep growing, we keep helping. That is what humans do." She pointed out the window at the stars. "The universe is very big," she said, "and we have only just begun." The children looked at the stars with wonder in their eyes. And somewhere out in the darkness, the pale wanderers watched. They had left this galaxy 3,000 years ago, expecting to return and find ruins. Instead, they found something they had never seen before. A galaxy that was healing, growing, becoming something new. They observed for a long time. Then, for the first time in their ancient existence, they changed their minds. The humans had been worth warning about after all. Not because they were dangerous, but because they were beautiful.